wonderful to hear, bringing hope and cheer, hope and cheer. It's the lovely name of Jesus, evermore the same, evermore the same. What a lovely name, a lovely name. What a name, the name of Jesus, reaching higher far than the brightest star. Sweeter songs they sing in heaven. Let the world proclaim. What a lovely name, a lovely name. Through his name there's wondrous power.
Actually, about a year after it was started, this was in the apartment of Arnold Lawson, who had an apartment in the Montrose, and I went to that for a while. We were able to petition and got to be a member of Mission, I believe, Cathedral of Hope in Dallas for a short time of mission, so we regularly had clergy coming from there, help with our services. The charter, yet we didn't have the charter for about a year after. We were organizing or getting organized in the bicycle shop. We basically a big empty space. We put down the card tables, do the communion from, and put down the folding chairs, making the church was an important function to start things. And of course, we finally were able to have things like hymnals, but it was bring your own Bible. The beginning of the church, it was one of the first places that other gay organizations could come to and have meetings at. Also, it was one of the few places, because we had separatism at that time, where gay men and gay women would get together and probably not fight. Our Charter Sunday was particularly special. Well, it was special for, I was the last member to sign in as a charter member, and there was a reason for that, because they had changed daylight savings time at that Sunday, and didn't realize it. So Steve, my partner, 43 years, and I showed up just dang late to the service, and just get up there, get up, sign. And so we signed. For various reasons, we had the Ku Klux Klan come in and attack us. The Ku Klux Klan was very actively anti-gay at that time. Had Anita Bryant, that was a march that happened a little bit afterwards. The Klan phoned up with very threatening calls to Reverend Ann. Large women went to protect our pastor night and day, and her then spouse. They never got to her, but they did burn a cross in our church, at our church in front of the lawn, that we found burnt out.
The gospel ensemble became another place of family connection where the friendships were developed, and those friendships still exist today. I was part of a group called Similar Differences, one of the ones who helped to start that group, and it was for couples who were in interracial couples. And so there I met, so many people, and a lot of those, and so that group, we would go to movies together, we would go to dinners together, and we just became so much family. Biggest impacts for me too was when the church would come together during Thanksgiving and make baskets, and we would put food, the different home groups would come together and sponsor different baskets, and we would take those baskets and feed anywhere from 4 to 10 different families and offer them a full Thanksgiving meal based on the donations. But the camaraderie we felt when we got together and actually put those baskets together was just priceless. Just the time that we spent, just developing those relationships and just being the church right here.
I have been a part of Resurrection for 37 years. I joined in May of 1985. Early 90s, as I said, Carol and Carmen had decided to have children. They were good friends of ours. Glenda and I also decided to have children. And through artificial insemination, Glenda got pregnant, and we ended up with twins. And our twins, Joy and Taylor, were born and supported by this congregation, and Carol and Carmen's daughter, Allison, and then they eventually had a son, Andrew. And the support and the love that I felt of this congregation going through that process, there were people that came over, and Jackie Marshall and her partner, Janae Allen, came over and mowed our grass while Glenda was pregnant because she was confined to bed for the last few months. And they threw us a baby shower and just showered us with love and gifts and blessings. And that meant so much to us, who at a time there were a lot of people that were conflicted about a gay couple having children. And so we did get some negative feedback in the community, but our church was so supportive during that whole process. And later, when Jackie Marshall, my wife now, Glenda Smith, my previous partner, passed away, and Jackie Marshall adopted Jordan in China in 1999, and the church had grown so much, and the children's ministry had grown so much, and it was just such a blessing for her to come back, and Dwayne Johnson did her christening. And it's just been the growth that I've seen in this congregation, and the support of the children and the children's community and the children's ministries has just been amazing. My 37-year career here, I've seen a lot of changes, and it's been a beautiful thing.
Even now, 20 years later, or 22 years later, actually. I have seen our church grow in diversity so much over the 22 years that I've been here. And I've gotten to be part of so many of the social justice movements that we've had here. I really enjoy the diversity of worship that we have here at Resurrection, the different music, the different languages, and just celebrating each and every person in their own stripe of the rainbow. It's wonderful to see young people, children, older adults, which I am one now, and just all the different colors and faces of MCC. I did actually, years ago, when we had General Conference in Los Angeles, Troy Perry had a call for us to go down and march on City Hall because they were not allowing our delegates to come into the country because of AIDS. And so he got a group of us together to go march on City Hall down in LA and protest, because that was just not fair how they were discriminating.
I've been attending this church for 31 years. It was 91 when I first walked through the doors of Decatur after receiving a flyer at a pride parade, and I was with my partner at the time, and it was just, we were like, what? This is even an opportunity for us? So we went. I remember the doors were open, and there were huge doors. It was a beautiful church, and walking in, I still remember, it was magical. All the people, the colors, the diversity, the smell of wood. It was an old church, and you could hear the creaking because you had to go upstairs. There were that many people there. Reverend Gill was still there, and I remember I thought, wow, you can smile at church, you can laugh at church. I remember him squatting down with the children at the steps and doing children's church. But while we were all laughing and participating in what was happening, he was such an inspiration because he was teaching all of us what we were about to hear in a different way. So I loved what I felt that first time and every single time that I returned. I remember being a part of an outreach group when we went to Waller to protest Sandra Bland. That was a very it was a pivotal moment. I remember that. There were churches from all around the state, and there was MCC. It was a small group of us, but it was the first time that I really was starting to really take a step out and fight for justice. Realizes that some of us don't have children, and some of us, like myself, are still single. But it doesn't matter. Here you're welcomed. And so while I don't have children, we still have the blessings of the pet. So I get to bring my babies there. That's important to me. Being able to be a witness to the big legal wedding, even though I didn't have anybody, I wanted to be here and be a part of that huge celebration.
The compassion I witnessed during the AIDS epidemic was almost more than I could handle. The church took everybody under the wings of our ministry. We offered services for people who had no other place to go. Places would not take them for funeral services. Families did not want their family members, so there was no place for them to go. Resurrection was a place that provided comfort and care, worship services to memorialize those who had passed. Sometimes the person who had passed, the family took the body home for services, so the partner and the families and friends here could not participate in the services to memorialize that individual. So the church did the services, a second service for the family and the community. The love and the compassion during that time was one of the very strongest points for me in the ministry of resurrection. And I also worked with the church when a cross was burned on the lawn at Joanne, and had the opportunity to travel with Charles Larson and Ray Hill to go down to the fire department to see the evidence that they had previously collected from the lawn. It's a very frightening, unnerving thing to see that evidence of hatred. I was in my 30s, and in all those years before, I had never seen that kind of anger and hatred. So once again, I saw the church come together to support and uphold and minister and be part of social justice that was needed at that time in the life of the church. For me, resurrection will always be family, will always be home. I have grown and obviously aged from 30-something to 70-something. This church has never failed to be a support and a place for love and compassion and caring. It's like the most impressive place I've ever worshiped. I plan to be here until I get my wings and to call this place home.